Hi, today we are doing multi-step equations. We're going to have variables on both sides. We're going to have to combine like terms, and we will also have the distributing property. So there will be parentheses in our problem. Okay, so the vocabulary that I need to talk about is a constant. So can you write that up where it says objective, this vocab word? We talked about it a little bit yesterday and the day before, but a constant is just a plain old number, and it's alone, like I put 3. Whereas a coefficient is the number in front of the variable, like 8x. So 8 would be my coefficient. So a constant is just a plain old number, and my coefficient would be 8. Just 8. A constant is a number alone. The coefficient is the number in front of a variable. So here's what our plans are for these problems. Step 1, we're going to move the smaller constant over. So right now I've got a 5 and a 2 in red. Those are called my constants. And the smaller number always gets moved. Positive 5 and a negative 2. Well, negative 2 is smaller. That's the number I'm going to move over. So you add the 2 first. So then I would have a 7. Negative 3x plus 7 equals 4x. My second step is to get the variables together. So the first thing we're going to do is get the constants together, just like we did yesterday, the plain old numbers together. The second thing we're going to do is get the variables together. So move it over, like it'll depend. So right now I am noticing that this 4x is alone. And if I moved this 3x over, then I would have the x's on the same side. You obviously want to get your variables together. How else can you solve it if your variables aren't together? So I'm going to add 3x so it's on the right side with the 4x. Okay? So then my last step would be to, if I have 7 equals 7x, divide by 7, my answer would be 1. X equals 1. Okay? 1 equals x or x equals 1 is the same thing. So let's practice. Example 1. My first job in example 1 is to get the constants together. Okay, which one is smaller? Is it the 8 that's smaller, or is it the negative 17 that's smaller? Negative 17. So the negative 17 is the smaller, so I'm going to move over negative 17. How do I move the 17 to get it with the 8? Add 17. Go ahead and do that to both sides. Eight plus 17 is 25. The negative 9t is just going to stay. Curve the bottom of your t's so they look like t's, not plus signs. Okay, now I want to obviously get the variables together. The reason I say obviously is because I can't solve the problem if the variables aren't together. All right, how am I going to get the 9 over with the 21? Add it. So now my 9t's cancel. 21 plus 9? 30t. My answer is going to be a fraction. What is my last step? Okay, divide. I'll reduce after that, though. You're right. So, divide both sides by 30. So my 30s cancel. T is alone on the right. And 25 divided by 30. 5 over 6. Because I divided by 5, 25 divided by 5 is 5. 30 divided by 5 is 6. If you get a fraction answer, don't think that you got it wrong, because it's completely fair game to get a fraction answer for any math problem. All right, number 2. Focus on the smaller variable. Here are my choices. Positive 14, positive 2. I'm sorry, I said smaller variable. I meant smaller constant. Which one should I move, the 2 or the 14?
2.
The 2 is smaller. So subtract 2 both sides. My 2's cancel here. The only thing I have on my left is a 5x. The equal sign goes straight down. Negative x stays negative x. 14 take away 2.
12.
Positive 12. Next step. Get the variables together. So how am I going to get the variables together, Darius?
Add x both sides.
Good. And realize this is like a 1x, but we don't need to put the 1. So I'm going to do plus x to move this 1 to the left. Well, my x's cancel. 6x equals 12. Now it's looking easier. And is 12 over 6 1/2 or 2? 1/2 or 2? 2. When the smaller number's on top, that's when it would be 1/2. Okay? Okay, now we have parentheses first. Parentheses first, so if we're going to follow order of operations, which we do, we work on parentheses, we distribute. So draw your distributing hoops first. And let's distribute. 3m minus 6 equals negative 2m plus 14. Same process. Let's focus on the smaller variable. Is it 14 or is it negative 6? Negative 6. Then negative 6 needs to be moved. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. You with me? 6's cancel. 3m is alone on the left. So I'm going to do negative 2m plus, what's 14 plus 6? 20. Okay. Next step, get variables together. How can I get this variables? Which variable should I move? Should I move the 3m or should I move the 2m? 2m. And how do I move the 2m? Well, it's a negative 2. Add 2m. Good. 5m equals, those cancel, 20. If 5m equals 20, what's my last thing to solve? Perfect, divide by 5. M equals 4. Awesome. All right, here we are with example 4. There's parentheses. Your first job is to distribute. Go ahead and do it. And can someone tell me what they got? What's my next line should say? Kai.
7C minus 42.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, focus on smaller constant. What number is smaller?
12.
Oh, negative 42 or a positive 12?
Negative 42.
Negative 42 is smaller. Okay, that means that I add 42. And I only add 42 to its like term, the 12. You're not going to add 42 to 3C, or you're not going to add 42 to 7C. That is a common mistake that I do see. C.
C. Do you see?
7C is left on the left. 12 plus 42? Okay, 54 minus 3C. Next step, get the variables together. Add 3C. Sound good? Okay. And 10C equals 54. We'll again have a fraction answer. No problem. Last step is what? Divide 10 by both sides. So, 54 over 10. I know that 2 goes into both of those. So I can reduce by 2. 54 divided by 10. Let's reduce by 2. 54 cut in half. The bottom is what? 5, yeah. How many times is 2 going to 54? 27, close. And I'm A-okay with you leaving it as 27 over 5, or if it really bothers you, you can do 5 and 2/5. All right, so for this example, I'm only distributing the negative 4. Let's talk about that it's a negative 4, please. So, put your hoops. Now I've got 8A. Now, be careful. A negative 4 times a negative 5A. Negative 4 times negative 5A. Positive 20A. Now, a negative 4 times a negative 2. Positive 8 equals 12A. Are there any like terms on the left that I can put together now? Look, they have the same variable. Like the same backpack, right? 8A plus 20A. 8 plus 20 equals 28A. Now the plus 8 is just going to stay there on its own, and the 12A just stays there on its own. Well, I don't have any constants to move, but what can I get together?
The variable.
The variables, the A's. So how will I do that? Should I subtract 12A to both sides, or should I subtract 28A to both sides?
Subtract 12. 28.
That's the thing. I want the variables alone on one side.
Oh, that's true.
If I move the 12, that's not going to help me.
Yes, subtract 28.
So subtract the 28. And take the A with it. So the 28's cancel on the left. I have an 8 alone on the left. 12 take away 28. Negative 16A. Good. Last and final step, friends. Clarissa. Last step. Divide negative 16. Thank you. Get the A alone. Ooh, 8 over negative 16. Is that negative 1/2 or negative 2? Thank you. More of you said negative 1/2. I appreciate that. And again, if it were this, 16 over 8, that would be negative 2. Awesome. Let's get started on classwork.